Hey, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. My name's dasMEHDI. What should I refer to you as? Deep Knight or
Oh, Deep Night is fine. You can call
awesome?
me Sebastian also if you want to, but Deep Night is okay.
Okay, I like Sebastian. That's a cool name.
Yes, fine
Uh,
for me.
uh, so let me. I'm gonna go ahead and hit the space bar here. Oh wait, let me turn on my
Oh, sure.
controller. Um, we'll show the splash screen. So, Dead Cells. I have been playing this game since release. I remember seeing the trailer, and I was just like, my immediate draw to it was fast action, really cool pixel graphics, and oftentimes when it comes to 2D side scrollers, and this is before I knew the details of what the game was, I knew I had to at least give it a try, and I have since been playing this pretty much every night. Um, what would you describe this game as? It is in Kickstarter. Is it Dark Souls? Is it Metroid? It kind of seems like it's a little of everything.
Yeah, actually, we always describe this game as we wanted to make something which was like a Castlevania we could actually replay. So that's why. So it's more like Castlevania oriented. It's very similar to Castlevania, but we wanted also to add, combat system which was a little deeper that what we usually see in this kind of game. So we wanted to focus also on Dark Souls kind of combat, with the timings and parries, this kind of thing.
Yeah, it's and it certainly shows. I know when I first jumped into this title, my immediate reaction was, "Holy crap, this is really hard. I don't know if I'm going to be able to play this game." But I kept on playing, and in respect to the Dark Souls aspect of it, the various patterns of the mobs and the bosses. Once you learn them, you immediately start to get better. So
Hmm.
it's almost like your personal, like a lot of games, as you play them more, your in-game skill sets will start to increase. Um, Whereas in this game, it's kind of like, I mean, there's a little bit of that with the uh, increasing your, like the size of your potion or the quality of your weapons, but there's definitely a big emphasis on player skill improving, and the as you go through the levels with everything progressively getting harder, it almost trains you.
Yeah, exactly. We wanted to, we don't like pretty much every player. We don't like any kind of unfair difficulty. So we wanted to go for something which was when you get killed, usually it's because you've been too greedy. So
Mm.
you feel too confident and you just get kicked quickly.
Oh, absolutely. And that's happened to me multiple times where, I'll see, you're farming, you're going through the level. And you're like, oh, I don't need to get out of here. And next thing you know, you're dead in like, you go from 100% health to zero in a matter of a second. Um,
Exactly. That's something that will change because we would like to implement a small change in this aspect in the next update. But
uh-huh.
it's something that we really want to keep. That you're always in danger, even if you feel confident. Sometimes you just can get one shot by pretty much anything.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. Especially the little green guys who get progressively more difficult. Now, this game, it came into early access, I believe 2 weeks ago. Is that correct?
It was 1 week and a half. Yeah.
1 week and a half? I can't believe I put this many hours into it then. That normally doesn't happen. So, with that said, how has the reception been so far?
Sincerely, it was really overwhelming because we used to say that everything was okay before the launch. We were pretty confident about the quality, but it's always difficult to predict how people will actually like or not. So
Mm-hmm.
we are confident, but not that much actually. So it was really overwhelming, and everyone was incredibly. Don't know how to say that. It was really good. So it was really amazing for us. We were not expecting that much reaction.
So the idea behind, as you said, it's got aspects of Castlevania in there. It's got aspects of Dead Cells, and to actually elaborate. So it's kind of Metroidvania in that it's almost like a maze. You don't know what corridors got what, et cetera, et cetera. It's also procedurally generated, as I've seen.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then you've got the Dead Souls aspect, which is, it's got the patterns for the bosses, different weapons, having different styles associated with them, so that every playthrough and that randomization of item drops and where you put your skill points leads to completely different play styles. So I have to ask, did these games inspire? Have you guys been playing Metroid as a team, like growing up? Like, what inspired you to take these particular genres and mix them?
Actually, we most of the team actually played a lot of Metroidvania kind of game, especially Castlevania, Symphony of the Night. But most of us always played most of this game. So we really wanted to make, as I said, a Metroidvania that you can actually replay, pretty much like a roguelike, but without the kind of too obvious RNG. So we wanted to have something which was it was random, but not that much. So we have lots of control on the level design and the loot and the way we drop items in the game. So we wanted to have something which was really a Castlevania kind of game, and that's because we did play lots of them when we were young.
And then what about the Dark Souls aspect? Is that is that also something that you guys were big fans of, I guess? Was that an inspiration, the Dark Souls series?
Yeah, definitely, because Dark Souls was a really inspiring game, because it's actually it's funny because it's pretty similar to old games in a way that you always get punished. For example, in the very first Super Mario, when you get killed, you just have to start from the beginning, but you learn things and you actually get yourself better. You just don't get new upgrades or this kind of thing. You just actually get yourself better. So we wanted to have something like this in this game. And actually, Dark Souls was really a modern take on this kind of approach, with a very punishing death, something which was actually very difficult, but it's not unfair. You don't feel it as being unfair. So even if you get killed, usually it's for a good reason, and you know you made a mistake. So Dark Souls was a great inspiration for this.
And so now, did you guys have a Kickstarter prior to the release on Steam, or was Steam the first platform you guys introduced the game on?
Actually, it's our very first PC game. So, but we didn't do any kind of Kickstarter because we are quite actually an old company. We've been making web and a few mobile games for 15 years now, 16 this year.
Oh, wow.
So we are quite an old company, but not in PC and console development. We did a Nintendo DS game years ago, but that was only title we did, which was like this. But yes, we didn't do any kind of Kickstarter or campaign or anything like this.
I'm just getting my butt kicked right now. Let's go ahead and take this. I'm just gonna jump away here. Take this potion because, by the way, guys, this game is hard. I'm just, interview plus playing this extremely hard game is like the best thing ever. All right, here we go. Yeah. So, that's interesting. So, how long has Motion Twin been in the game business? Oh, can you hear me? Sorry, can you hear me? Give it a second, guys. It looks like we're having just a bit of technical difficulty here. Hey, welcome back.
Hey, welcome. Thank you. Sorry about that. It looks like Firefox decided to cut everything. So.
Oh, Firefox. Right. I actually should have mentioned that. Yeah, the Discord web version is good, but it's good. But that's me being nice.
And I switched it to the app, so it should be really better.
So I was just telling the chat about the weapon system and the drop system and how it's like randomized. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Like, what was the design ideas behind that?
Yeah, sorry, it was cutting. Can you repeat? Sorry.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Sorry
So
about that.
I was just explaining to the stream how as you advance through the levels, you will find different levels of weapons and items, and there's randomizational perks that are applied on these weapons. So effectively, every playthrough ends up being pretty much vastly different from the next. Where, for example, in one playthrough, you may end up with a lot of stun-based items, and if you have the right skill sets, you're likely to be more powerful in that respect. Or you can do a mix of a build between like bleeds and stuns, kind of allowing for these different play styles. Was that something that you guys originally sought out to do? Is this something that happened over time? Could you explain some of the design decisions
Sure.
around that?
Actually, it was something which was very different from Dark Souls because we wanted to make sure that the player always adapt. And in Dark Souls, it's very different because usually if you decide to invest on a weapon, if you decide to upgrade it, it's most probably it's your first and last weapon in game. So that's something that we didn't feel comfortable with this idea. And we wanted to make sure that every time you play the game, you actually cannot decide for sure what will be your play style. And actually, it proved to be more funnier to adapt and to depending on what you pick. So we wanted to keep this idea from the beginning and to push it as much as we could. So to make sure that every time you play, you have a different combination. So that's why we decided to add this affix system on weapons. So a single weapon can be very different depending on the affix that it will get. So that's something we wanted to make really different from Dark Souls.
Yeah. No, and absolutely. I think that's probably one of the reasons why the replayability for this game is as high as it is. Because you really don't know what to expect. And there's definitely a lot of like, a lot of hope going into like, okay, I'm going into this. I really want to get to the boss. I've put all my points into daggers. Please give me a dagger. The number of times that's happened has been absolutely insane. One question that I've been dying to ask is, does the game because it is procedurally generated, do you guys take into account the game style that the player is playing in, the stats that they've put points into in order to adjust what's being generated? Or is it completely random?
Actually, it was like a really big question at the beginning because you have two different ways to do this kind of thing. It's we call the first one the Skyrim way, which is the game changed to adapt your playstyle and your level and this kind of thing. And you have something which is much more savage, like something which is totally randomly generated, and that doesn't adapt at all. And we decided to go mostly for the savage way, except for a few things which are quite hidden in games, a few mechanics. Also for good reason, because we wanted to make sure that if we use a seed, for example, if you use the same seed, which is the same random number which generates the levels, for two players, you have exactly the same experience. You have the same loot and the same enemies and the same gold, this kind of thing. And we wanted to make sure from the beginning that you can actually share a seed, for example, in a later version, and to make sure that you can have the exact same experience on two different accounts. But we have a few things that adapt when you play, so we decided to cut a few things like this, especially the level up. When you get level scrolls, you do the power-up scrolls, and this kind of thing, for balance reason, we decided to go for something which is a little bit more under control, but not that much. It's mostly we just try to avoid unpleasant situation like having only technical like a weapon upgrade scrolls, this kind of thing. But that's really the only thing that we keep under control and which adapts. But we keep lots of things under controls, but more in a random way. So just to make sure that the game is fine. But we don't adapt anything to player style or this kind of thing.
I see. Yeah, because that was, it was probably crazy RNG luck, and I remember screaming like, why? Like, I put all my points into daggers, and I remember playing like 6 games, and I'm like, where are the daggers? I need my daggers right now. Though I quickly learned that even if you don't, even if you do decide to put all your points into a particular weapon or a particular play style, that because if as long as you can make it through the level, and because the levels are the items are getting better over time, you can still manage, especially since as long as you know the enemy pattern, you can learn how to use the other weapons, regardless of whether they have the damage buffs to them.
Exactly.
So, so this game is in early access, and it's quite interesting that the game feels so complete. I mean, the estimates I've seen is that it takes anywhere between like 8 to 20 hours for someone to get through the current content, and it seems pretty based on I guess the level of skill. Is that estimate accurate? And how'd you guys come to? What made you guys release such a complete title? I guess at this stage, as opposed to just a prototype.
Sorry, it was cut. Almost everything you said was cut. Sorry about
was
that.
it? Yes.
I think it's probably my connection, which is like shitty in France. So.
Oh no, I totally understand. So the question is, well, so with the game being, I guess the observation is that the game feels quite complete, despite being in early access. Now I understand that there's 2 bosses at this time. There's more to be added, but in terms of functionality, the game does feel quite complete. What did you guys? I mean, what led you to make that decision as opposed to, I guess, releasing a prototype like a lot of indie titles tend to do?
Exactly. We are pretty much like players. We don't like to have a broken product. Like having a game which is fine, but you really feel it's not complete. So we wanted to focus on the gameplay first, and to make sure we spent actually the most of the time to tweak the controls, to make sure that everything felt right and everything was balanced, and the level design and this kind of thing. Also the art part, we really wanted to make sure that everything felt complete, and so we could use early access time to actually just add content. We'll probably adjust lots of mechanics, lots of small details. For example, the next update will change lots of things about the shields, but most of the core of the game is here, so we will just probably add lots of content from now on before the release.
And so in relation to content, has there been a plan around, I've heard quite a few things about the amount of content that you guys are planning to add upon official release. What is there anything official at the moment? Have you? Oh crap! Sorry, 1 second. Oh god,
Sure.
I hate these birds so much. It's the combination. I love the combinations. For example, these shield guys, when they're combined with like one other creature, they could mean the difference between like 2 creatures that were normally easy get that much harder when there's a shield guy, and it's pretty fun how dynamic that is.
Yeah, actually, when we design the enemies, we always try to make sure that one enemy has just one role in the gameplay. So, for example, the shield it is just a wall that blocks you in front. So, if you combine this with small roles like this for other enemies, you usually get nice combinations. We try to avoid to make a single enemy that has many skills, so it's more like a boss. So.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. So right, so in terms of like bosses, do you guys have a boss count you guys are looking to release with?
Sure. Actually, the lowest number should be 4 boss in total, but we would like to do more. It will really depend on how much content we'll be able to put in the game before the release. But we really want to make sure that the main the main line, the main quest of the game, you should meet 4 bosses, but we would like also to focus a lot on hidden content and lots of alternative ways to explore the game. And that's actually the most interesting part for the player. It's when you unlock.
When you unlock the new schematics.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
we would like to add at least 4 bosses. You should have at least 4 bosses in the final game, but we will probably have much more.
Oh yeah, I absolutely. I mean, the fact that the formula seems as good as it is, I think there's. I personally would love to see the bosses come out and more content being added over time, even if it meant like it was a DLC pack. That's just me. That's just me. I want the content to keep rolling in. Quite frankly, it's that much fun. But you touched upon schematics. That's a really cool feature that I've noticed that over time, as you play more, as you're unlocking a couple at a time, and you can only get the schematic, I believe, if you pick it up, you RNG it, and then you bring it to the end. Then that unlocks other items. Like it's a really cool way of adding more content to the game, even though you're replaying it from original death each time.
Exactly.
So I'm sure there's a bunch of questions in chat. We'll get to those in just a second, guys. So tell me a little bit about Motion Twin. How were you guys founded? How long ago were you founded?
We were quite a strange company, to be honest, in France, even in France, because we don't have any kind of boss in this company. So we are only a small team actually right now. We are a team of 8 people. We have 4 devs, 2 artists, and 2 marketing guys. And so it's a very small team. And we don't have any kind of boss, so everyone is equal to his neighbor. So we take all our decisions, even it can be a marketing decision or gameplay decision. We take all of them together. So to have most of we tend to have lots of discussions, but usually it's in a good way.
That's actually quite impressive because oftentimes those setups don't last very long. So it's really cool to see. It sounds like the teamwork has clearly paid off. Seeing the quality of this game, quite frankly.
Thank you.
And
actually, as I said, it's been 15 years now. So this model, we have been working like this for 15 years now.
Wow, 15. Yeah, that's amazing. And how many titles have you guys released?
Well, it really depends on what you call a title. So
I see.
Because as I said, we did lots of websites and web games. It was before Facebook and this kind of thing, but I think something like 60 or 70 titles, maybe more. If you count the really smaller ones, you may have much more. But as the big titles, it's maybe more like 50 to 60 games.
And I have to ask, how have you not been? It's cool to see that. I mean, you guys are a small team. I mean, I don't think I've ever heard of an indie team that's been around as long as you guys have. I mean, 15 is a long time. I would have thought that someone would come in and scoop you guys up, like, hey, these guys are cool. Let's go take it.
Definitely.
So I'm sure there's a bunch of questions in chat here. Guys, if you have any specific questions, go ahead and type @dasMEHDI, ask your question, and I'll go ahead and relay it. And as the questions are coming in, I guess I'll ask another one. Is how did Motion Twins originally start? Were you guys college friends? Did you work together at previous companies? Did you just happen to get lucky at a bar and say, "Hey, we make video games. Let's get together"?
Actually, the very first person that created the company, I was not there. I joined maybe 6 or 7 months after the beginning. So the very first ones, they actually were just school friends, and they decided to create a company because they wanted to be happy to work every morning, and they wanted to make sure that their work as a company was something that was pleasant every day. So they decided to go for something on their own. So that really was the core idea at the beginning. That's also why we are all equal like this. We wanted to make sure that every time you get to work, you're quite happy to do it.
That's pretty awesome, actually.
Thanks.
It's something that I think a lot of people would love to have themselves, quite frankly. So it must also always feel good to feel like you're a master of your own fate as opposed to a one of the many, like the sweat room game development situations that I always imagine in my head when I hear these teams of like 1,000 people working on some game, and then it turns out it's not any good. Always, it's got to feel bad, man. And plus the feeling of actually, when you release with a small team, it really feels like you own such a big part of it, as opposed to, oh, I made the textures for the ground. That was my job for 2 years.
That's exactly like this. Yes.
So one question coming in the future, are the creators thinking of more ways of combining items in a way that the Binding of Isaac does with their items and crazy effects?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, in this very first version, we have I think it's 50 items or something like this, maybe 58 or something like this. And yes, we would like to implement pretty much any crazy ideas that we have in terms of item. And we really designed everything to make sure that implementing a new stupid idea was as fast as possible. So, for example, if we create a new weapon or a new active skill or this kind of thing, usually it takes maybe 1 day or 2 at maximum to implement everything in game. And after that, it's really a matter of balance, so more like this. So yes, we would like to implement pretty much any ideas that we have. In the next version, the next update, update 1, we'll add the elemental gameplay, which allows you, for example, to put the ground on fire. You can put oil on the ground, then put everything on fire. This kind of interaction. So it will be, it's really funny to play right now.
Oh, that is quite interesting. Yeah, the elemental aspect. Like I have seen, I think I saw one of the updates where I saw the electricity get used, and it causes the water to electrocute.
Yeah, if you put electricity in water, you will have a really heavy and stun on every enemy standing in the water. So that's something that you can use if you're playing in a water level.
Another question coming in. How many bosses are they planning on adding? Any hints on what they might be? Will there be a boss that actually is your shadow? Something like Shadow Link from Water Temple. So I believe the current, as you said, the current plan is to add 2, but that's to be seen what the ultimate plan is.
Yeah, actually 2 is only the minimum, so we will probably go for more, but for now we are just talking about 2. And yes, about the shadow boss, it's quite a difficult question. We've been asked a lot about this boss, but we are probably not implement it because just for a simple reason, because as I said, when we add a new weapon in game, we don't have any to code or to add any kind of AI on this weapon because it's a player using it. But if we have a boss that can take any item in the game and use it, for example, a new weapon of the player, we'll have to code an artificial intelligence for this item, and we have to do this for pretty much everything in the game, which is really too time consuming for the whole game for just a single boss. So we probably won't do this kind of thing, but maybe we'll have a boss that looks like the player, but which will have a limited amount of skills. Not everything, probably not everything.
By the way, guys, if your question wasn't, oh my God, that guy just wrecked me. Never feel safe in this game, ever. If you feel safe even for a second, the game will destroy you. And that's what makes it so much fun. Guys, if I missed your question, some of the questions actually scrolled off, so feel free to just re-ask it. Actually, let me see if I can move my mouse over to it. Can I do that? Is that going to let me do it? 1 second. Yeah, just re-ask the question if I missed it. So let's see. Can we nerf the birds? Wait, which birds? There's more than one. They get progressively more insane. There's the ones that dash, and then there's the ones that bite and do a ton of damage. But wait till you get later in the game where they also explode. I don't even know how much worse they could get, but it goes back to the whole combination thing, because a lot of these enemies, they are, and I forgot my gold over here. A lot of these enemies are not too bad when you first fight them, but when they combine with each other, it becomes a whole different scenario. How does the ammo regen for ranged weapons work? Why do they regen why don't they regen at all during the boss fights?
Actually, we have really a big problem with ammo because pretty much no one understands it. It's actually very simple, but we will probably have to change the description of items. Actually, the rule is very simple. Just when you shoot an ammo, you will get it back if you kill the enemy because your ammo is stuck on this enemy. So if you use it on a small enemy, that's not a problem. But if you use like on a heavy boss or this kind of thing, usually it's more like a problem. So you will have to have a proper strategy to get your ammo back. And that's something that we'll also address in the next version because you will have new ways to get your ammo back from big enemies like this.
Oh, cool. Let's see. Will any plans for the boss rush mode? So I guess I'm guessing the rush mode is when, once you beat the game, you can fight all the bosses like back to back. I'm assuming that's what the boss rush question is.
Not sure about the boss rush, but yes, we'll have maybe it will be an update 3 or 4. Not sure about this, but yes, we have lots of plans about the new game plus kind of thing. So we'll probably allow you to get much more difficult stuff in game when you decide to replay. But not sure about the boss rush for now because the patterns of the boss are quite simple actually. So I'm not sure it will be really interesting for you to just repeat maybe the 5 or 6 boss of the game. So it will really depend on how many bosses we actually implement. If we have like 10 bosses, yes, definitely a boss rush mode.
Another question coming in about is there any thoughts of introducing game difficulties and how does the timer gate work? Well, I can explain the timer gate. It's pretty simple. Yeah. Pretty much as you're playing the game, there's timers that are like predefined from what I can tell. And it's like encouraging you to go fast through the level. So there's like 2 strategies. One is you go and farm everything so you get a lot of souls and you get a lot of gold and you get more chance of getting items. However, because you spend all that time trying to RNG and get items, those doors are going to lock. So the other strategy is you go as fast as you can through the level so that you can get to those time doors that more often than not will have good loot in them. But the question of game difficulty, is that something you guys are going to be looking into, like I guess in the future?
I'm not sure we'll have a difficulty setting in the game because we heard a lot about how was the game again? Darkest Dungeons. We watched lots of talk about this game and from the devs of Darkest Dungeon and also FTL, and they talked about this difficulty setting and the idea of not adding this in the game. So we'll probably have ways to allow you to have easier experience if you want to. Not sure about this, not 100% sure, but yes, we'll definitely have ways also to have a more difficult experience if you want to. So it's really something we want to implement in the game, but it won't be like setting the menu. It will be something which is a little more tight in the game. We are still experiencing about this in our version, and it will depend on how successful it will be. But yes, we would like to have difficulty controls, but not in a really traditional way. More something which is in the game and the way you play.
Another question in regards to like QA, how do you guys go about doing that? Because the game does appear to be quite polished, not just in terms of functionality, but just generally speaking. Do you guys do like internal QA amongst yourselves? Is that like outsourced? Because for an indie team and 6 folks, how do you overcome that challenge?
Actually, that's quite funny because I will say that to my colleagues on Monday because we are actually really bad at QA, and yes, that's a really big discussion inside. So we had lots of playtests inside, but not that much. I mean, not in a QA style that big company will do. But no, we don't have any kind of. We have a small QA system. We wanted to make sure that everything is stable as when we push it. But we don't have lots of QA. We do play a lot for our game. So when we feel something is off, usually we just change it.
Ah, I see. Next question, Mac. Do we any plans for the Mac platform?
Sure. The game will be released on Mac by the end of the release, before the release. And we also plan to go to console, but that's something that we still have to discuss with the constructors.
Ah, I see. In terms of like timing and when it's going to happen, sort of thing.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. In terms of like timing, I kind of missed that. Is it that you guys are going to eventually do it, but that's still up for discussion?
For the console, you mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes, that's something that will most probably happen because we have already contacts and everything going on. But about the timing, I'm not sure if it will probably be on the release date, but not sure about this. It will really depend on how much time we take to port the game on every platform.
Gotcha.
So we'll try to do our best to synchronize everything to make sure that it's available day one on every support and every device. And but that's something we still have to. For now, we're just focusing on making the game actually and porting into PC, Mac, and Linux. Because actually, the internal version already works on Mac, but we have a few stability issues, so we don't want to push it right now. But about the console version, that's something that will probably start maybe in 4 to 6 months. So we'll really see at this time how much time we'll take to port. But it should be something quite okay. We have everything ready for this, but yes, we just don't give a full guaranteed release date for the console version right now.
Now, that's actually pretty sweet. The doors that you pay to open are too fragile. I keep destroying them when they're off screen, so they can be made a certain amount of hits to break instead of HPMI.
I think most of the time it's because of the dive attack, which is for some reasons dealing a lot of damage on these kind of doors. That's probably an issue that we'll have to fix. I also keep breaking them without wanting to do so.
Guys, any other questions? Oh, what's the likelihood of it releasing on the Switch?
Yes, everybody's kept asking for the Switch version. Yeah, definitely we would like to. That's something we are still discussing also, but that's really something that we want to do. So we can't guarantee a date right now, and I don't know exactly when it will be released. But yes, that's something that we really want to push on Switch. That's the kind of device which is really perfect for this kind of small run game. So.
Absolutely, because it's kind of like a Game Boy. I could definitely see it being amazing on there. One question that came to my mind, as folks were asking questions, is what is the is this like a custom engine you guys are using? Is it an engine what engine are you guys using?
Actually, it's an engine that we created. Even the language is custom because we've been working on web at first, and we created a language that was from the core of the language. It was cross-platform, which means we can publish a single game on any platform like iOS, Android, this kind of thing. So we use a really custom thing that was created from the beginning to be easy to port on any device. So that's why I said it should be okay to port on PS4, on Xbox, Switch. But that's something that we still have to.
That's actually really neat. Did you guys expect the game to do as well as it did? You guys did an amazing job and deserve all the success. That's coming from Mr. Lemley.
Thanks a lot.
Will they add different themes to different levels? Like an undead level, skeletons, zombies. Maybe you walk in through an entire level and you only see corpses and stuff. And then you pick up an item and they all wake up. I do. There is theming already. So I expect, I imagine the other levels you guys are developing at this time are probably going to also be themed. And I know a lot of you guys who've seen my playthroughs so far, or not playthroughs, but attempts to play through. You'll notice I tend to go a certain path. Like, I don't really go in the sewers yet. I probably should soon. But there are some themes, but I guess to change the question up, do you guys have a lot of other themes planned Oh crap. Oh, wait, this is gonna force me to go into the sewers. I've never actually seen this before. Was there an update recently?
I think maybe 2 days ago, yes.
Oh, I don't think I've played since the. Oh wait, there's a chain. I'm just stupid.
You should go. Well, yes, you can go.
I was
Sure.
like, what is this? Eh, does the game have a story plot? Are they going to figure out what the start of the green glob of doom is? Oh, that's a good question. Is
Yes.
there an idea to bring a story behind it?
Yeah. Actually, the next version, I think, will be on update one. We'll have lots of NPCs that will add to the game. So you will have lots of new story bits that you will learn about the game. So we have a reason for everything. For example, being this green blob at the beginning, there is a reason for you to be like that. But as I said, this very first version is really focused on gameplay and content. And yes, we'll add the NPCs and the story elements starting on update one, and yes, we'll add much more on each update. So next update we'll have much more information about this.
Another question coming in. Any thoughts on? Wait, it says any plans on nerfing the damage buffer? Any changes to entering doors and ending in the middle of a huge group of enemies? I'm not sure what that refers to entirely. I'm guessing it's like is he referring to? Do you understand the question? Because I'm kind of.
I'm not sure, but yes, the damage buffer item will be changed. Not exactly nerfed, but more like changed in a way. So it's more like a risk and reward system, which is similar to the curse system, which is when you get hit, you get killed. But the damage buffer will be changed in something like this. More like you deal lots of damage, but you also take much more damage using it, which is really a much more risk and reward.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and talking about your game. I'm very excited with the current state of it, and even more excited to see what you guys have down the line. The lore is definitely. I think adding the NPCs and adding the lore is probably going to add just another layer of awesomeness to this. And I may not be the best gamer. I'm definitely not. And normally I don't approach these sort of games, but there's definitely something about it, and it goes to show. There's a lot of talk surrounding this title, and the Steam ratings in itself will speak for itself. I believe it's currently overwhelmingly positive, and I can definitely see why.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you so much for your time, guys. Can we show them some love and appreciation in chat? The Motion Twin @Motion Twin is their Twitter. The game is on Steam for $16.99. Highly suggest getting it. We do have 5 keys that these guys have kindly sent our way, so we'll be giving those out later today. Thank you so much, Sebastian. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and thank you for taking your time out of your day. And I know it's late over there in France, so extra thank you for that, for joining us from late at night.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for everything and asking this question. So if you have any more questions, feel free to ask and we'll answer.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. It's a pleasure. Hey guys, I hope you liked that clip. If you want to see more awesome content, be sure to hit subscribe. And let me know what you think by hitting the like button or, leaving a comment down below. Catch you later.